like to welcome you to the 8th Annual General Meeting of VM Investments Limited. I'm going to invite Tiffany Joy Smith, Assistant Manager, Risk Management, to lead us in an opening prayer.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please bow your heads with me in prayer. Heavenly Father, as is written in your word, we enter your gates with thanksgiving and your courts with praise. Thank you for yet another year and for VM Investments Limited's 8th Annual General Meeting. Thank you for the opportunity to gather and discuss the business that is VMIL. Thank you for our clients and the work, dedication, and service of the VMIL team members. As we reflect on the year that was and look to the years ahead, we seek your wisdom and guidance. Help us to make just and sound decisions and help these decisions to positively transform the everyday of our clients, investors, and partners. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, Tiffany Joy. We're going to begin this afternoon's proceedings by moving a motion for the notice of the meeting to be taken as read. Can I get a mover? I recognize Beverly Goodstaff. Thank you so much, Beverly. Seconder? Okay, could I ask you to repeat your name one more time? Loran Nachetta. Thank you. We'll have that noted for the minutes. My name is Matthew Wright. I am Deputy Chairman of the VM Group and an External Director of VM Investments Limited. On behalf of the Board of Directors, it gives me pleasure to welcome you to the 8th Annual General Meeting of VM Investments Limited. At the same time, while I welcome you, I am going to extend apologies for the chairman of VMIL, Mr. Michael McMorris, who is unavoidably absent from today's meeting, and I will be chairing the meeting on behalf of Chairman McMorris. For those of you who are joining us via private live stream, the mechanisms are in place for you to participate fully. As usual, you will be asked to vote at the appropriate time. Online voters will receive a prompt when voting and will cast votes by the online poll. The matters on which you will be asked to vote will be populated in the chat section of the screen. You're going to scroll down, join as a guest. You will be required to state your name and select your voting option. And going to have the proceedings begin. And again, a very warm welcome to you all. The first agenda item is the presentation of the auditor's report and statement of accounts for the year ended December 31st, 2024, as well as the director's report. I'm going to ask Damian Reed of KPMG, auditors for VM Investments, to come forward and present the auditor's report and the statement of accounts. Mr. Reed.
Thanks, Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. So I'll be reading the auditor's report. You may follow from page 124. Now, before I start, the auditor's report is divided into two main components: a report on the financial statements and also a report on matters required by the Jamaica Companies Act. So I'll be taking you through the report on the financial statements first. Independent Auditor's Report to the members of VM Investments Limited. report on the audit of the financial statements, opinion. We have audited the separate financial statements of VM Investments Limited, the company, and the consolidated financial statements of the company and its subsidiary, the group, as set out on pages 127 to 195, which comprises the group's and company's statement of financial position as at December 31st, 2024, the group's and company's income statements, statements of comprehensive income, changes in equity, and its cash flows for the year then ended, and notes comprising material accounting policies and other explanatory information. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of the group and the company as at December 31st, 2023, and the group and of the groups and 2024, and of the groups and company's financial performance and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with IFRS accounting standards as issued by the International Accounting Standards Board, IFRS accounting standards, and in the manner required by the Jamaican Companies Act. Basis for opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing, ISAs. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the group and the company in accordance with International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants, International Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, including International Independence Standards, ISBA Code. We have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with ISBA Code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Key audit matter. Key audit matters are those matters in our professional judgment were of most significance in our audit of the financial statements of the current period. These matters were addressed in the context of our audit of the financial statements as a whole, and in forming our opinion thereon, we do not provide a separate opinion on these matters. Fair value of Level 3 investments. Key audit matter, see notes 6 and 29. The group and the company hold Level 3 investments of 1095519 billion, 2023 124,524 billion, measured at fair value, which are instruments for which quoted prices are not available. Valuation of these instruments requires the use of unobservable inputs, which requires significant estimation and selection of appropriate valuation method. How the matter was addressed in our audit. Our procedures in this area included the following: assessing the reasonableness of significant assumptions and suitability of the valuation model used by the group and the company, involving our valuation specialists to determine and obtain yields and prices of specific securities, and comparing these yield and or prices to those used by the group and the company. Assessing the adequacy of the disclosure, including the degree of estimation uncertainty involved in determining fair value. Other information. Management is responsible for other information. Other information comprises the information included in the annual report, but does not include the financial statements on our auditor's report thereon. Annual report is expected to be made available to us after the date of this auditor's report. Our opinion on the financial statements does not cover the other information and we will not express any form of assurance conclusion thereon. In connection with our audit of the financial statements, our responsibility is to read the other information identified above when it becomes available, and in doing so, consider whether other information is materially inconsistent with the financial statements or our knowledge obtained in the audit or otherwise appears to be materially misstated. When we read the annual report, if we conclude that there is a material misstatement therein, we are required to communicate the matter to those charged with governance. Responsibility of management and those charged with governance for the financial statements. Management is responsible for preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements that give a true fair view in accordance with IFRS accounting standards and the Jamaican Companies Act, and for such internal control as management determines is necessary to enable the preparation of the financial statements that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. In preparing the financial statements, management is responsible for assessing the group's and company's ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing as appropriate matters relating to going concern using the going concern basis of accounting unless management either intends to liquidate the group and or company to cease operation or has no realistic alternative but to do so. Those charged with governance are responsible for overseeing the group's and the company's financial reporting process. Auditor's responsibility for the audit of the financial statements. Our objectives are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but is not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with ISAs will always detect a material misstatement when it exists. Misstatements may arise from fraud or error and are considered material if individually or in aggregate they could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of the users taken on the basis of these financial statements. A further description of our responsibilities of the audit of the financial statements is included in the appendix to this auditor's report. This description is located at page 126, forms part of our auditor's report. I'll now turn to our report on additional matters as required by the Jamaica Companies Act. We have obtained all the information and explanation which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of our audit. In our opinion, proper accounting records have been maintained so far as appears from our examination of those records. The financial statements which are in agreement therewith gives the information required by the Jamaica Companies Act in the manner required. The engagement partner on the audit resulting in this independent auditor's report is Damian D. Reed, KPMG Chartered Accountants, Kingston, Jamaica, April 30, 2025. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Damian. I will now present the chairman's message, again on behalf of VM Investments Chairman Michael McMorris. The chairman's message is as found in our annual report. There may be some minor variations at my discretion, but I'll stick to the script, Mr. CEO. Which page of the annual report? It's page 24. Okay. So on behalf of the Board of Directors, I am pleased to present the 2024 VM Investments Limited Annual Report. We successfully navigated a dynamic macroeconomic environment in 2024 while continuing to strengthen our governance and strategic frameworks in order to bolster VMIL's ability to generate greater, longer-term shareholder value. Our profits attributable to shareholders increased materially to 555.7 million, or 37 cents per share, in the December 31st, 2024 fiscal year, up from 198.8 million, or 13 cents per share in the 2023 fiscal year. Net interest income, which is an important metric of our core operating health, grew by 216.59% moving from 47.8 million in 2023 to 151 million in 2024. Total assets increased by 3.2% from 29.5 billion in 2023 to 30.46 billion in 2024. VMIL achieved a return on equity of 12.8%, and VM Wealth Management achieved a capital adequacy ratio of 23.59%, well in excess of the regulatory requirement of 10%. In 2024, we, and I know the shareholders were also pleased, but we were very pleased to resume the payment of dividends to our shareholders following a necessary halt during the COVID pandemic. During the year, we paid out 127 million via 2 interim payments, a dividend payout ratio of 22.9%. We continue to work to raise this ratio as part of our commitment to deliver consistent value to our shareholders. Governance and strategic oversight at VMIL is the cornerstone of our operations. Throughout 2024, the board placed strong emphasis on refining our 2024 to 2026 corporate strategy. A key area of focus was strengthening our strategic oversight to align our goals with the evolving macroeconomic landscape, something I believe will also be focused on in the 2025 fiscal year. We reviewed and refined our approach to risk management, digital transformation, and leadership development to make certain that VMIL remains at the forefront of the financial services sector. Strategy in action. VMIL has charted a clear and ambitious path for sustainable success, focusing on 2 core pillars: revenue growth and diversification, and client empowerment through the implementation of self-service capabilities. The first pillar of revenue growth and diversification aims to expand our revenue streams, reduce dependency on dominant legacy revenue sources, manage our financial risk, and drive innovation. And that diversification of revenue streams also involves geographic diversification in terms of the jurisdictions where we generate our income, our profitability, and deploy our risk capital, deploy your risk capital. The second pillar, client empowerment, enhances digital solutions and customer engagement to provide clients with the desired levels of freedom and support. Towards our target of diversification, on January 19th, VMIL purchased Republic Funds in Barbados, expanding our footprint into that market, rebranding the funds as VM Wealth Funds. Our official launch was held on March 21st, attended by key stakeholders and ministers in the financial and investment sectors in Barbados. We are pleased that one of our main products of that new business, our income fund, led in its fund class with a standout 6.58% return for fund holders. Under our empowerment pillar, we improved client experience and internal controls by launching targeted engagement based on client segments, implementing auto-response systems for faster communication, and introducing net promoter scoring by clients for wealth advisors. Operational efficiency was boosted by redirecting queries through dedicated channels, promoting digital adoption to increase portal usage from 31% to 50%, and disseminating weekly internal control tips to team members. Challenges and lessons for future growth. 2024, we saw positive developments, but we also faced challenges. We responded to the fallout from the high inflation, high interest rate environment coming out of recovery from the COVID pandemic by adopting larger reserves for asset impairment and expected credit losses. Simultaneously, we strengthened our risk governance with the addition of more risk management expertise and heightened attention to the refinement of our risk management framework. The board remains committed to agility in our risk management approach to ensure that we can respond to ongoing changes in the macroeconomic environment. We also face stock price volatility. Of course, not something that was unique to our company. The JSE did see some softness of performance, shall we say, during the period, and VMIL was not immune to that. Our commitment to maximizing shareholder value remains unwavering, however, and we are focused on driving sustainable growth to overcome these challenges and deliver long-term returns. Our financial strength and shareholder value. To enhance our sustainability for the future, we continue to strengthen our capital, refinancing Jamaica $5.4 billion in value, bonds, publicly listed, and extending our maturity dates out to 2027. We grew our book value from $4 billion in 2023 to $4.6 billion in 2024, and we earned an improvement to A in our corporate governance index from the Jamaica Stock Exchange. CARICRIS, regional rating agency, reaffirmed our overall investment grade status at CARI BBB. For their relentless drive at client empowerment, transparency, and accountability, the VMIL team was recognized by the Jamaica Stock Exchange in its annual Best Practices Awards, 3 categories: Member Dealers, Investor Relations, winner; Member Dealers website, first runner-up; and Member Dealers Expansion of Investors and Listed Companies Base, second runner-up. Please join me in congratulating our team. Board transitions. Director succession continued in 2024. We had 3 directors departing: Devon Barrett, who was a former CEO of VM Wealth, and our Chief Investment Officer of VM Group, Janice McKinley, who was the VM Group CFO, and Independent Director Bridget Lewis. We'd like to thank them for their exceptional service and contributions to VMIL. As we look forward, the board remains focused on governance renewal, and we continue to create the right blend of experience, innovation, and diversity to drive VMIL forward. These efforts continue in 2025 with the appointment of Maria Robinson to the board. Maria brings extensive tax and accounting experience, particularly versed in the Barbadian landscape as we expand our presence there. We're also pleased by the appointment of Frederick Williams, who joined the VM Group as Chief Financial Officer in January 2025. I know that Frederick is here. Frederick, I don't know if you'd like to just put the hand up. Thank you. In addition to leading the finance function for large financial institutions, Frederick has particular expertise in transforming businesses through the use of data analytics to enhance timely decision-making. Frederick is well regarded for his sound business acumen, demonstrated in his leadership of several change management initiatives and business reorganizations to achieve strategic priorities and increase enterprise value. Frederick has, in short order, gained the confidence of the board and senior management, and we look forward to continuing to benefit from his expertise and experience. Long-term outlook. The board is excited about the opportunities ahead. We continue to position ourselves as a leader in the Caribbean financial markets, and we continue to stress process improvement in 2025, improve the client experience in interacting with the firm, and ultimately driving further client satisfaction. We will be enhancing digital experience with higher enrollment on our VM Wealth portal. Performance management improvement will also be an emphasis within the VMIL team. High engagement and talent development, importantly. Employee awareness and understanding of internal controls will be enhanced through training, and we will be implementing key technology enhancements to improve control effectiveness and operational efficiency. In conclusion, 2024 was a year of challenges, resilience, and progress. We're upbeat about the future. I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to you, our shareholders, the leaders of our teams, and our team members for your continued commitment and support to VMIL. Together, we continue to build a future where VMIL thrives, delivering long-term value to its shareholders, clients, and the people of Jamaica, Barbados, and the wider Caribbean. And with that, I am now going to turn over the podium to Resworth Burchinson. Before I actually hand over to Rez, I would like to acknowledge other directors who are in the room and those who are online, including the chairman, Michael McMorris, not able to be here with us in person today, as previously indicated, but who is still with us nonetheless. Noel Hahn in the room with us today. Noel, I don't know if you want to stand up, another long-standing director of the firm. I don't think we have anybody else in the room, but welcome and acknowledging all the other existing directors joining us online. Okay, so I'm now going to hand over to the Chief Executive Officer, your Chief Executive Officer of VMIL, Resworth Burchinson. Rez will be joined in his presentation by Chief Operating Officer Alison Mays and Assistant Vice President for Finance, Stuart Andrade. Rez, I yield to you.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll clap the Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to the Chair for leading us off. Before I get into my presentation, I just want to give some acknowledgement of appreciation to the Chair, Mr. McMorris, and his directors for helping to guide the management team during 2024. Our Group President, last year it was Courtney Campbell, this year is Dr. Campbell. Congrats, Courtney. The executives of the VM Group, many of the team members, the executives are actually listening, want to also express my appreciation. The staff of VMG, lots of support provided to VMIL during 2024. Again, we're appreciative. Special thanks to our regulators. We have a number of partners, whether they be lawyers, there be auditors, there be actuaries, our rating agencies, CARICRIS, most of all our shareholders. But I also want to give special commendation to the team, your team at VMIL, the staff members that show up to work every day to maximize your investment dollars, whether it be via capital appreciation or whether it be via dividend flows. Just want to recognize those team members. I also want to, and the chairman said it, but special note of thanks to Devon, Janice, and Bridget, and certainly we welcome Frederick and Maria from out of Barbados. Apologies for Mr. Brian Fraser. Brian is the Deputy CEO of VM Investments Limited. Unfortunately, Brian was dispatched to far and wide to do some important work for VMIL and VM Group. So we wish Brian a very productive trip. Okay, let me get into my presentation. Okay. Clover? Okay. Okay, it's coming on. Okay, so I want to make a point around the vision of VM Investments Limited, just to ensure that we understand the business that we're in. What's our vision? We're a premier Caribbean-based investment company creating and preserving wealth for our investors globally. Globally. So our moves to Barbados, our future moves to other parts of the globe is with that in mind. We want to ensure that our shareholders are happy, but more importantly, we serve a number of clients in the business, and the same is true for both sets of stakeholders. Okay, so if you read through the annual report, you'd have seen where VM Investments Limited is situated in the wider VM Group. And I'm quite sure we are appreciative of the fact that the VM Group has been around for over 140 years. We are the investment arm of the group. So our reason for being is to deploy capital to generate above average returns, both for the VM Group and for the shareholders. Under VM Investments Limited, our cash cow at the moment is VM Wealth Management Limited, our broker-dealer. But as we would have said over a number of years, our deployment of capital from VM Investments Limited is to the broker-dealer, but we also have a very attractive, very robust private equity business. In that business, you have Coldbush, you have Kingston Properties, you have Home Choice, and before the end of 2024, we actually had Caroland. So the realization of benefits or gains in 2024 that flow to shareholders was us executing on our private equity strategy. What are some of the business highlights, some of the business wins for 2024? Obviously, we're very pleased with our financial performance in a very tough space. When you read the World Economic Report, GDP growth fell in Jamaica, declined by 0.9%. World output fell from 3.4 to 3.3%. There were lots of climate-related conditions that impacted our business in 2024. But in spite of, we're pleased to generate a very reasonable performance. That performance was in an environment of higher interest rates, as the chairman said before, volatility in bond prices, equity prices, tight monetary conditions. So we had a strong net PAT performance. Our exit from our current position reinforced that we have a very attractive PE business, but in terms of a very, very good franchise. That gain realized $422 million. Very pleased also about the resumption of dividend payments. There were 2 dividends paid in 2024, and our objective is to ensure that going forward we continue to make dividend payments in line with our dividend policy, considering the capital needs of the business. Very pleased about the launch of our transformation office. Why is that important? So we have said to our shareholders, we have said to the public, that there are 2 key pillars that we're focused on for the next couple of years. One is the execution on our asset management business. We want to grow asset management business across the Caribbean, but we also want to ensure that we bring efficiency to the business, we increase the better client experience. So the launch of our transformation office is with that in mind. We completed the acquisition of RFI, now called VMIL Funds, and in the months ahead, you'll hear a lot more exciting developments about that space. And then, as I've repeatedly said, this business is a talent business. This business is a talent business. So I'm quite sure that one question that will arise from this meeting is increasing staff costs, right? But in this business, the acquisition of talent, the retention of talent, the development of talent is fundamental for the long-term growth of this business. So we will ensure going forward that we bring on board talent to grow the business. Recently, there was an announcement made to the Jamaica Stock Exchange around a number of promotions that we have made in the business, number of talent we have brought on to ensure that we solidify the revenue streams going forward. So I want to walk you through the Caroline journey. When we bought Caroline in 2019, we spent close to 100 million Jamaican dollars. And there are times along the journey that were questioned about this investment. It started off, wasn't the best investment at the very start. As you can see, the movement in registered users, 16,000, 58,000, launch of our Jamaican operation, launch in Trinidad. As you can see, registration moving up. At the end of 2024, 92,000 users. So at times, and actually along the way, we're questioned about this investment. However, we stuck to this investment, and we're able to realize again. So obviously, it underscores that there is lots of opportunity in the private equity space. We don't profess that all investments will do well, as is the nature of investments, but we'll ensure, assisted by our robust enterprise risk management framework or our governance framework or risk analysis, that we, as best as possible, choose more winners than going forward. Some business highlights. Obviously, Stuart is going to speak more about the numbers. Revenue growth, strong growth of 40%. Our net PAT performance, 55 million. Very important to know some key drivers of the business. One, team member engagement. Even though our score fell by 1 point between 2023, 2024, it is still above international benchmarks. The international benchmark is in the 60s, so we're very pleased that we are continuing to outperform on that pillar. The number of drivers of talent or of the engagement score, culture, employee value proposition, work-life, opportunity rewards. So assisted by our counterparts in Group HRD, we want to ensure that we continue to ensure that our team members are engaged. Our asset management growth, again, asset management is a key pillar for our broker-dealer of growth. Strong growth from 31 billion to 37 billion. And then in terms of customer engagement, not where we'd like to be. We're in the 20s now in terms of on our NPS score. We need to be in the 40s and 60s. Our transformation initiatives is being executed to ensure that we provide a robust client experience. Some other highlights in the business, our capital markets business. Successful closure of our mezzanine financing in Stationary World. Lots of refinancing for ICR, close to $10 million US. Launch of our proprietary margin loan tool to bring efficiencies to that portal, to that business line. But if you read the annual report, you'll see that there are a lot more executions done on the capital market space. In asset management, the chairman mentioned the fact that our Barbados product did very well, which is our global our income fund. Our property fund also continues to do very well. On the trading side, lots of wins in that space. We did one of the largest trades on the JSE in 2024, valued at 11 billion Jamaican dollars. Some highlights in terms of our private equity portfolio. Kingston Properties, solid performance last year, $5.4 million US. That the asset base of Kingston Properties currently stand at $80+ million, and obviously we're driving towards $100 million. Home Choice, lots of wins since our investment, growth in revenues, growth in net profit performance, growth in new products, and growth in new channels. So I'm expecting in the next 2 years we'll continue to hear some very exciting developments from Home Choice. Actually, one of the packages that we have when you leave in is some new Home Choice products. So obviously making a plug when you go to the supermarket, promote Home Choice, and the dividends will flow back to you indirectly. Island Car Rentals, that's an investment we made in a mezzanine structure that also realized some gains to the business in 2024. So again, what are we focused on? We're focused on driving our asset management business locally and regionally. There are some exciting new developments that we will launch in 2025. We're reimagining asset management, both on the traditional asset management side. On the real estate side, there are also some opportunities. And then we're going to also double down on our private equity investments. So why is PE important for us? The backbone of any economy is the robustness and vibrancy of its SME sector. When we look at the SME space, we see lots of great businesses that need capital to grow revenues, to hire more persons, to pay more taxes, to send more kids to school, to list on the stock exchange for persons to buy more stocks, to get more dividends, and the cycle continues. So in Tiffany's presentation, in her prayer, she spoke about the transformation initiatives across the VM group. So we want to ensure that we are impactful in terms of driving the SME space, because the impact on the overall Jamaican economy and the Caribbean economy will be positive going forward. At this point, I'll pause and hand to Stuart. You're up next. Hand to Stuart. Thank you very much. Give Stuart a clap for me, please. Make him feel welcome.
All right. Good afternoon. Thanks, Riz. Afternoon, everyone. Okay, that's a very nice picture of myself. Our CEO laid the groundwork sharing with you VMIL's commitment for transformation through performance. My task today is to take you through our company's commitment to transformation through profitability. Now, one of my mentors said that you can have the greatest strategic plan in place, but if you don't have great people behind it, then it will not materialize. I want to submit to you that VMIL's strong performance in 2024 was supported by the great people we have working for our company. So I would therefore like to take this opportunity to thank the team consisting of our board, VM Group executives, and our VML staff for their resilience and hard work displayed in the face of this challenging economic environment in which we operate. Thank you. Can you give them an applause, please? All right, so what? Okay. Technology. I'll get used to it. What happened in 2024? So our net profits, as was stated by our CEO, went up year over year, $555 million versus 198. Net interest income was actually improved to 151 million. The gains from our investments activities actually surged to $1.4 billion. And net fees and commissions actually earned over $1 billion in 2024, up from $945 million in 2023. And other operating revenues actually grew to $2.5 billion. This is a great achievement for, especially in the challenging environment in which we operate. The total cost that also went up by 27%. I want to actually just let you know that the cost-to-income ratio was actually lower despite the expenses actually going up. For 2024, it was actually 90%, while in 2023 it was 99%. Our share of profit from K-Prit, that was $193 million, and we spoke at length about our 30% sale of our interest in Caroland, which actually contributed significantly to our profits this year. And lastly, we refinanced and publicly listed $5.4 billion of bonds, extending the maturity to dates to as far as 2027. All right, as it relates to our 2024 financial overview, as stated, we had a positive increase year over year of 40%. Net profits actually jumped to over 179%. On the positive side, our PE investments led our revenue and profit contributions, an increase of over $451 million recorded over the prior year, $616 million in total. Our trading and revaluation gains were up $118 million over the prior year. We had increased brokerage activities during the period, contributing an additional $104 million, and our NII performed very well in light of the economic environment, contributing an additional $104 million. On the downside, these are key areas that we're actively managing and strategically working on. Our staff costs were up 22%. Our CEO actually discussed that, and that's on the back of great people that we are actually hiring and also working with and producing the numbers. Our other operating expenses were up 37%, and this was due to increased fees associated with our audit, increased management fees, and higher software and IT expenses. Our revenue composition, just a little bit. As you can see, the gains to the left of your screen, the gains from our investment activities accounted for majority of the income generated in 2024. The company saw increases in all categories except for fees and commission. Now, despite the fall off that you're seeing here, fees and commission actually recorded a growth of 7% or 70 million. So there was increases across the board in all areas. Similarly, the graph that you're seeing on your right, across that states our business lines, our treasury and asset management unit accounted for majority of the income generated, with all units recording year-over-year growth, as we said. Doubling down on our private equity strategy. Wow. So our investments, our PE investments did well for us in 2024. And you'd hear this comment both in CEO and my presentation. Again, $660 million in revenues, and this was led by the gains from the sale of our 30% interest in Caroland. We initially purchased the company for $106 million in 2019. The company was actually making losses for a number of years. Fast forward to 2024, and we're recording a gain of $422 million. So as we look at our remaining PE portfolio, we have Caprit. And Caprit continues to outperform expectations. Caprit had another great year recording net profits of approximately US $5.4 million. That was actually, that is up from $4 million in the prior year, and it's actually contributing $193 million in share of profits to our bottom line. These amounts represent approximately 35% of our profits. Coldbush Organics had a challenging 2024 marked by a decline in revenue and increased costs. The company is now in the process of making strategic adjustments to improve overall performance. And Home Choice, that company in 2024 saw increased revenues and net profit margins. Jasmith, this is the Jamaica Actor Small and Medium Enterprise Fund, or partnership with the DBJ, and it is focused on facilitating meaningful growth and expansion in the SME sector. Our CEO actually spoke about this and supports the company's dedication to transforming lives through impactful investments in Jamaica. All right. I said briefly, and I really meant briefly. As I close, right, and as we reflect on 2024, the performance indicators, I just want to highlight this very wonderful graph before you. As you can see, it was all positive except for the operating expenses. I would like to share with you a couple points for you to remember. As I close, the company's pipeline of transactions remain very, very strong. The company has a great strategy. Our CEO actually spoke about that, and if you read our Q1 2025 results, and stockholders reported have actually seen that we spoke about the building out of an asset management platform for continued local and overseas expansion or transformation initiative, and that is geared towards using technology to drive customer experience, improve efficiency, and increase revenues. We also have a resilient team. I started off by mentioning the great strategies and the need for great people behind it. The company has showed this commitment in 2024 in the results that you're seeing, and have actually piggybacked and pushed forward into 2025 with the addition of directors Maria and Frederick to the board, as well as the execution of our staff restructuring exercise that we did in 2025, an addition and onboarding of key staff to execute and lead these strategic initiatives laid out in our plan. So at the end of what do I want to say? These key actions that we have will drive and continue to transform this company through profitability. Thank you. I'll hand over to Alice.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think I am now asked to deliver the final leg of the 150-meter relay. So I'm going to also try to be brief. I'm not known for being brief, but my team is in the room. They'll keep me honest. All protocols have been established and observed. So my job today is to give you an overview of our operations for 2024 and to touch a little bit on 2025. I won't touch too much on 2025 or else I won't have anything to say next year. So last year, I had the difficult task of representing the company in terms of the late audit. And so last year, we made some promises, and I'm happy to say that we have delivered on a number of those promises. One promise that we made last year was to put some actions in place to reduce the time that it takes to deliver on our audited financials. Last year, we were 82 days late. We didn't make it exactly for this year, but we were 30 days late. That's a remarkable improvement. What it means is that we're on the right path, and with some additional tweaks, next year we'll be able to deliver on that commitment. Additionally, we committed that there are some internal systems that we use to manage our business, and there were some improvements that we were going to make, and that those improvements will at the time we committed that the improvements would have contributed to the reduction in time that it takes to deliver on those audited financials. And we have, in fact, improved on those systems. There are 3 reconciliation systems, 2 of which reduces the time that it takes to manage some aspects of our business from days just down to minutes. So we're very proud of that. We also, at the time that we presented last year, spoke about the integration of our Barbados business. Happy to say that all 1,700 clients from Barbados are fully integrated into our core investment management system. And in addition to that, we are, as we speak, the team is making sure that the statements that are generated for these clients are being done in an automated way. So the team is currently working on that right now. We also mentioned, and I recall very specifically stating that at some point in the future, we want our clients to be able to be in Timbuktu and be able to open an account online. Happy to say that that system has been completed, and we're in the process of getting the FSC or regulators to approve that system. So that's another promise that we made and kept. And then in terms of our investment banking system, we mentioned that we were undergoing a massive upgrade of that system. And that upgrade is scheduled to be delivered by September of this year. So we're well underway with that. We made some additional commitments that are more work in progress than completed, and you're seeing them there on the screen. But I'd like to pull out from this slide that we have a digital strategy that was approved by our board. And what that strategy looks like, it's a 3-year plan for how we're going to transform the business. And that plan is a roadmap of activities that have key milestones. We're well underway with executing on that strategy. All right, so besides those major things that I just mentioned, we're a growing business. There are a number of activities that we do in the business every day. Key highlights from 2024. Our CEO mentioned that we managed to implement a loans management system this system manages our margin loans portfolio. That product is a VMIL product that is sold through VM Wealth. So the platform manages primarily the collateral that backs our margin loan. So if you know about margin loans, it's a loan that you can get from our business, and it is collateralized by the assets that you have in your portfolio. Our system is able to manage that collateral. So we're happy that we're able to launch that system in 2024. We also have some key outcomes from our digital transformation strategy. So our digital NPS, and NPS is a measure through which we assess whether or not what we're doing, clients actually like it and they would recommend it. So our digital NPS exceeded its target for 2024 by 16%, and we're able to increase our enrollment of our clients in our digital platform above targets by 4%. And in this market, we operate with counterparties, meaning persons or companies that we do business with on a daily basis, one of which is Oppenheimer. It's an international broker through which we execute our international trades. The other is the Jamaica Stock Exchange, or the Jamaica Central Securities Depository, JCSD. Both of them are companies that we work very well with. Oppenheimer visited our offices last year, gave us really great reviews, and we managed to transition our systems with the industry from T+2 to T+1, meaning that when you execute a trade, it gets settled in a day. And we were able to do that successfully. All right, so I won't go through everything in detail, but just to highlight that VM Wealth Management Limited, as a part of VMIL, is a key strategic business for us. That's because VM Wealth Management Limited is 100% owned by VMIL. And so to the extent that VM Wealth does well, VMIL will do well. So that's why we pay attention to VM Wealth Management Limited. So there are two key things last year that came up in our assessment of our client experience, and we found that there needed to be an improvement in the service quality. And so we set about to make those improvements. We brought on additional talent. We put some new structures in place. And happy to say that up to today, we're able to improve the answer rate in our member engagement center by 89%. That's a significant feat. But in addition to that, we were able to, and this may sound like a paradox, reduce the number of calls that are coming in to that center. The reason why we're able to do that is because we have been doing so well in driving digital adoption that our clients are able to get what they want online. They don't need to call us. So we're going to continue along that path. And just a plug here, if you need to contact us, this is where you can find us. Both are, two sets of information, websites, as well as contact information for our center. And at the bottom there, if you need to speak to us about our investor relations, you can contact us there. All right, so as I mentioned before, what digital does for the business is that it transitions clients online. So I was doing some research the other day. Amazon, for example, has been around for 31 years. They launched their business, and a year later, they went online. Can you imagine if all clients or customers of Amazon was trying to call into Amazon to get service? It would be chaotic, right? So Amazon has transitioned their business online, and they've provided a lot of services that people can do for themselves online. That is exactly the business model that we're trying to pursue. So year to date, we've grown our enrollment over the end of 2024 to 50, which was at 49.71% to 51, almost 52% year to date. Just for context, if we have 20,000 clients and we move 1%, that's 200 clients, it's not an easy move to move 200 persons online, right? So the fact that we have moved 2% over the end of 2024 is an amazing feat. So I want to congratulate the team for that, and we'll continue along that trajectory. In terms of our client portal and its usage, we've been able to increase the percentage of persons who are transacting online over prior year to almost double what the numbers were last year. And so we expect that at the end of this year, we're going to be averaging out at about 87% over prior year. Our IPO Edge platform is another digital platform. And the reason why these things are important is because we're trying to make it easy for you to do business with us. Our IPO Edge platform, our last offer, which was our personal VMIL offer in December, almost 40% of the persons who bought into our bond used that platform. But the very last one in the market, not our offer, 100% of the persons who applied used our platform. What that means is that there's a growing appetite for the use of digital, and so we're going to continue to market and promote our digital channels. And then finally, JTrader, which is a platform that the Jamaica Stock Exchange makes available for clients to use, we've seen an increase in usage of almost 2 times what it was at the end of last year. So, and I'm winding down. So there are 2 arms to the business. You have the revenue generators, and you have the team that supports the revenue generators. So with respect to how we make sure that as the revenue comes in, it is kept in the business, it flows down to the bottom line, and we're not leaking revenue, we've kind of restructured our organization to be able to provide some really key services to the revenue generators. And what you're seeing listed there are the units that provide this kind of protection of the business. So while the money is earned, these are the persons and the functions that make sure that the money is kept. So we have in the room a number of the leaders for some of these teams. We have our head of client experience, O'Shane Grant. You can wave your hand, O'Shane. So if you are a shareholder and a client of VM Wealth, O'Shane is the man to speak to. We have our head of strategy and transformation, Strisen Williams. So all the digital transformation initiatives go through Strisen. I know I'm missing Mikhail. Mikhail is our legal and compliance manager. So I just want to reinforce the point that as the revenues are made, we care about making sure that the business grows in a profitable way. We ensure that when we're putting in systems and processes, they're efficient. And all the time, when we're implementing initiatives, we think about whether or not it's giving us a competitive advantage. So that is how we make sure that the belly of the business is managed. And then my penultimate slide is, of course, we don't just care about the people who we work with. We don't just care about the shareholders. We care about everybody. We care about the environment in which we live, we operate, we work. And so on the environmental and social side, we continue to make an impact and to give back to the society. The key standouts here are that we've increased the percentage of the lives that we impact by 28%. And we have almost doubled the number of our team members that are contributing to these activities. I won't go too much into the CARICRIS and the JSE ratings and awards because those things have already been stated, but we're very proud of our governance framework, which is what has allowed us to be able to achieve those awards. And finally, we just want to take this moment to publicly state on record that we are grateful for the team members at VMIL for all of the work that they did in 2024. The work that they did is what has delivered the results, and we're grateful that they demonstrated the level of commitment that they did to give us the ability to return value to our shareholders. And in addition to that, to our shareholders, we're grateful for the opportunity to manage this company. You've entrusted us with the management of this company. And so we thank you for staying on this journey with us, and we look forward to what the future will look like for us both, specifically in 2025. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rez, and your team. I think it's always good to get to know the executive management a bit better, get exposure to who is actually running and stewarding your capital. Rez, we know, is a very public face of VMIL, but it's also great to publicly meet Alison and Stuart. Thank you very much. Very impressed. And we are now going to move on to the next agenda item, which is usually our discussion, opening the floor to our shareholders. So we're going to open the floor for a discussion period. The rules of the road are for questions coming physically from the room. I'm going to ask you to raise your hand, wait to be acknowledged. Your question will be taken and then responded to by the appropriate team member. If you are online, please post your questions or comments in the chat, and they will be passed to me. So I'm going to open the floor now. Any questions or comments? And the first that I'm going to take will be from Jerome. His first question, one of two. First question being, what are your plans to increase profitability across each business line? And the second, the annual report spoke to private equity as a driver of revenue. Are you therefore near to closing on an acquisition target? Okay. Both metrics, I think it would be most appropriate for Rez to address. Rez, take the questions, or would you like one of your team members? You take it. Okay. So I'm going to hand over that response to Rez.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Thanks, Jerome, for those two great questions. What are your plans to increase profitability? And then are we closing on an acquisition? So let me take the easier one first, which is the second question. So we're always looking for transactions in the PE space. Very exciting space. And I think that before the end of 2025, you're likely to see 2 or 3 deals being closed by VM Investments Limited, right? What are plans to increase profitability? So there are 4, I could say 5 business lines. I did elaborate quite a bit in terms of asset management, because it's a key pillar for this business. And in the weeks ahead, you will be hearing some exciting plans for new products, both in Jamaica and in Barbados on the asset management side. The capital markets team, which is where we do our investment banking, even though the market is a bit challenged just by economic and political conditions, we are in the space. We have bolstered the talent. Alison spoke to the fact that we have deployed technology. You have also seen in the press, I think one release came out about where we were engaged as the financial advisor for a company in Kingston. So you'll hear more in that space. So I'm very excited about what will emanate in the capital market space for later this year. Our trading team is a global trading team. And recently, Denise Marshall Miller and Dwight Jackson were doing business development in the Caribbean. You'd be surprised to know how many Caribbean institutions are buying bonds through Jamaican entities, and more specifically, VM Investments Limited, VM Wealth Management Limited. So, just like how we indicated that we did a transaction last year for 13 billion on the equity side, we did a very, large one earlier this year. So again, lots of things being done. And then on the treasury side, that team was also restructured, brought on board Sitara Smith, and again looking for some very exciting developments on the treasury side. When you look at our Q1 performance, look on the net interest income, you're seeing a major increase in that revenue line. So we're confident that going forward, we'll continue to see some exciting development in that space. And then the private equity business, I said before, will do well. So in terms of talent we have brought on board, I think we have a good strategy. I think we have a good team. We're putting it in the technology. And then also with Alison's help, we're also ensuring that we are refining the various processes. So I'm looking for some exciting development for 2025.
Great. Okay. Thank you. We have Jerome with two more questions. I think maybe the screen just had not scrolled up. Rez, is VMIL actively considering an equity raise for either expansion or deleveraging? And what's the timeline for the Home Choice IPO?
Okay, again, check. Again, let me take the easier question first, which is the second question. So there is no timeline yet set by the board, not Rez, by the board of Home Choice. I'm actually a director of Home Choice. I'm uninvited to their board meetings. But certainly, whenever the board makes that decision, we will certainly inform the investment community. And then, are we looking to raise capital or pay down debt? So we have a capital management plan. We had a finance committee meeting yesterday where that was also discussed. And we have in the past paid down debt. We will raise debt as we see opportunities to invest in. So it's a very fluid market. We believe that if an opportunity were to arise, that our capital markets team would be able to raise the capital to close those transactions. But we'll certainly keep the shareholders via the JC apprised of those developments.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a second question from our live stream audience. Odale Mulgrave. Question is, please provide updates on the status of the Nikon and Kintyre deals. Rez, I believe that would be...
Sure.
Go ahead.
Sure.
You
Okay.
sure.
Thanks, Odale. So we have no exposure to Nikon. Let's be very clear on same. And then Kintyre, I'm very sorry, but I don't think I'm at liberty to disclose those developments. Those are private conversations between the entity and Kintyre. Unfortunately, I'm not able to disclose at this point in time.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions from the room while we wait for anything more to come up on the monitor from online? I'm going to recognize the gentleman behind you. Put up his hand first, but we'll get to you. You can just identify yourself.
Yeah. I'm Douglas Wilson, shareholder.
Hi, Douglas.
And it's more of a concern and an observation. On page 66 and 67. That's the shareholdings of the directors and senior management. I'm comfortable with the directors. They're fully vested, but I'm very concerned about the senior managers who run the business. A whole lot of them have zero. And I have more than some of them, which is kind of frightening to me. I want to know that when the ship is going down, they're going down with it, and when it's coming up, they're vested in it. So I'm just making that as an observation.
It's a very valid point. You do want to see executive management engagement and commitment to the firm that they're running. Now, on the other hand, every employee and every team member has their own financial circumstances and has the liberty to make the financial decisions which are in the best interest of themselves and their family members, etc. But I do think it is a very valid point and a valid concern that is well taken, that we should be encouraging our team members to be vested, not only in terms of giving of their time and energy, because they are invested very much in the business. They're giving of their time and energy. Life is short. We have a limited amount of it. But we'd also like to see them put their financial capital so that, as my own chairman in my day job likes to say, interests are aligned. So yeah, it's a concern that is noted. Management and Rez in him managing his team, incentivizing his team. I know, thinking about how they can be further aligned with the business is always something at the forefront of his mind. Rez, I don't know if you have any color on that, further color?
Just one thing to add, that in the past couple of weeks, if you follow the announcement of the JSE, you'd have seen that a number of executives have purchased shares. So it is my expectation, again, I can only encourage, that we'll see that trend going forward. Thank you.
And that's usually a positive signal. So while, as at our report date, that wasn't reflected, as Rez has just pointed out, that is, there are developments afoot, shall we say, and recent activity. I'd like to acknowledge the gentleman in front.
I'm Arthur Ellison, and not to rain on your parade, but I've had a lot of fun in the past dealing with your leading officers in handling my accounts. Not because they're the ones who are capable of handling the amount, but but because other people were just as capable of doing it. Regrettably, though, in many of the changes that you've undertaken, there appears to have arisen a case where I don't find it as easy to get in touch with the people who might have been able to help settle questions that might arise in my situation, as was the case in the past. Makes me wonder if what you're doing now is so time and effort consuming that you might have to remind your people a little bit that promises to call back the clients and messages left on the system for your officers should be things that should be attended to. It kind of disappoints the experience that I've had in the past with what I've seen now. And I really would appreciate your saying that it's something which is going to be corrected right away.
I'll start by saying you and I would get along very well. Your sarcasm and sense of humor, love it, you know. But what you have highlighted, and I wonder, is your comment so much that you feel the resources being allocated to customer service aren't there, or do you feel that the portal through which services are being offered is shifting from an intergenerational standpoint that it doesn't really work? Because in my own experience, I have similar challenges where I find that technology is moving so quickly that the way service is being provided now, a lot of us, we have some challenges catching up with it. So is it a matter that you just feel the resources are inadequate, or that the way you're being more pushed towards interaction with a non-live person system, that's the issue?
Frankly, I like that last comment you made, that we're being pushed to a non-live person system. Right. There are some things which necessarily are best handled online. Right. Equally, there are some things that will never be as well handled without face-to-face contact, because that's what we developed it by. Right. And it's sort of a thing which, as the years add up, you like to see it. You like to see that it is not only going well, but you're able to move to the new internet and other links like that, right, with the satisfaction that brought you there.
And not to belabor the point, but in the past, it seems that in the past you were more satisfied with the interaction. Is it that you were able to get your advisor more easily on the phone, or what has changed you felt, or nobody's?
I always thought that they like me, and I like them.
Right.
But regrettably, I've come to the conclusion now that there are so many things that seem to be done. I mean, obviously, you've made significant changes. Right. Let's think of a person who used to handle my account. Right. She's not there anymore. Right. She gave me the name and phone number and email address of somebody who replaced her. I've left messages on that system several times. Right. I've made calls and I've never once got a response. Right. And then there are others who, on the side of that system, meaning that person handled the account, somebody knew that was being done. You look for the person who should have known this, and you can't get a response as to why the person who is expected to handle the case is not easily available.
So as somebody who is also a customer of the financial sector myself, I'm no different from you. I'm standing up here today in a certain capacity, but my everyday life is you, a customer of a firm. I acknowledge and emphasize with that frustration. I do business with a lot of financial institutions where there's a lot of turnover of my client rep, very frustrating. So I emphasize and I understand. And then there is a delicate balance. Are you also a shareholder of VMIL? There's a delicate balance where as a shareholder, you do want to see our management team driving efficiencies and driving down costs.
Here, here.
And those, sometimes that involves greater adoption of technology and reduced use of live interaction. It's a double-edged sword, because if you are pushing operational efficiencies to the detriment of the client relationship experience, then you're hurting yourself on the business and revenue side. So Mr. Burchinson here has that very difficult job, and Alison and Stuart, of walking that very fine line between paying you a higher dividend as a shareholder by keeping operating costs low, while also making you satisfied as a client. But the fact is that we are in agreement with you 100%. I think what we've seen in the presentation today and what the management team has discussed is the fact that there is a big focus on customer service and engagement improvement. We're not where we want to be, so we're going to acknowledge that, but it is a key focus for the firm. And I think it's a key focus for all firms in the Jamaican financial sector.
What I like, if I might interrupt you, is seeing that you're paying the people, paying the talent to exercise all that talent in advancing all that you're setting out to do, the excellence by which you're aiming a company.
Right.
I'd like to see that happen. I'd love to see people being properly paid.
Yeah, they may dispute that, but as yes.
But I love to see them show that they
yes.
appreciate being properly paid.
Right. It's a very subjective thing. But thank you very much, Arthur.
Let's look forward to better days.
Okay, I am going to... There's somebody who's been raising their hand in the back over here.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to make a contribution. I am currently working with the team that is looking at protection and care of the elderly. And one of the,
The team on behalf of?
community.
Okay. The
Well, we
VMIL
go to the
team?
parliament. We go to the parliament
Okay.
to make submissions.
Right.
And one of the issues that keeps coming up is the push of the banks towards digital and online, and some of the older people only know about closed line.
Absolutely.
So
It's a big problem. Yeah.
I am wondering, knowing the history of the VM group,
Right.
if you are taking that into consideration.
So, it's a excellent point and a major problem. I was sort of, trying to get that out of Arthur to see if he was really saying that, but because he's a younger man than me, I didn't want to offend him and make him feel I was saying that, Arthur, is it because of the intergenerational issues and your age, why you no longer want to, why you don't want to log on? Because we give you a great portal. But it's a very, right.
Some older people live alone.
Absolutely.
So they have no young people to negotiate these things for them.
And they have no smartphone, or they don't know how to use a smartphone.
Exactly.
And they have no laptop.
Exactly. And some of them are terribly afraid of
Right.
going online
Right.
and losing their little money because
Absolutely.
they are afraid of making mistakes.
Right. No, so once again, something we empathize, it is with all of us as we go through the centuries, some of us get left behind by technology. Now, while we are pushing an increase in our, online portals and digital presence, etc., we are not closing branches. Our branch network, which I guess 40, 50 years ago would have been the primary avenue of interaction with the bank, still there. It does not solve the problem of somebody who may be shut-in, difficulty with mobility, etc., doing their banking. That's now a different challenge. But I think to the core principle of what you're raising, it is something that we are very aware of as one of the downsides of technological advancement. But I think all the prior platforms we have always had in terms of the in-person, in-branch, still remain there. But it is a problem. Rez, I don't know if you want to more eloquently add anything to that than I have, or... So I don't think that we're leaving behind that cadre and that generation of folks. All our legacy platforms are still there. In some markets outside of Jamaica, try and find a bank branch. You go to a lot of the developed markets, they just don't have bank branches anymore. Everything is done online, or they're few and far between because physical bank branches are very expensive to keep. You got electricity, you have rent, you have utilities, you have staff, etc. And so the technological move over time is to reduce the brick and mortar footprint. Jamaica is not yet there. We still do have a very robust branch presence, both at VM and most of the other local institutions. So I think the facilities are still there for that market segment that you are talking about. But I think there are probably other challenges too, including mobility and just getting to a branch, that comes with age. But
on the contrary, sir, going to the branch is sometimes an outing for the older people.
I understood. So is it that
and meeting friends.
Do you think that the issue is more that the banks are not doing enough to assist people in a certain segment to get to the bank? Or just trying to distill a bit more in terms of, if you had a wish list, what would you like the banks to do?
Don't tell me to go online.
Okay, so don't tell you to go online. Tell you to come into the branch, right? So we still have that option. We still have the branch option. I think what we're just doing is that for those who would like to go online, we also have that option. Because if we only had branches, what we'd be hearing? Why don't you allow us to go online? So it's a balance. But thank you. Very valid comment, and appreciated.
And Chairman, just to note that a couple years ago we actually expanded the branch network. Went to Savlomar and a couple of locations. So Ocho Rios, Duke Street, Ligani. So we have done quite the opposite.
Right.
And we have mandated that persons must go online.
Okay. All right. I am going to acknowledge another question from Odale Mulgrave online, which it falls in the same vein of what we've just been discussing. What is being done to make the process of funding VM wealth management accounts easier? Some of our competitors allow seamless transfer between bank accounts in their ecosystem to equity accounts.
Thank you. Thanks, Chair. All right, sorry, I'm mic'd. So the question is about funding your accounts easier. So we currently allow for clients to transfer funds to the VM Wealth Bank account or accounts with the notation of the instructions that are to be used to place your funds on a particular product, right? So that is the typical way that the transactions are funded. But as a part of our digital strategy, and I mentioned in my presentation that we have a multi-year strategy. Actually, year one and phase one, we are working on a product that will allow for much easier ways of ensuring that a client's account is funded. We're well underway with that, and we're expected to have that available to our clients, albeit online, by the end of this year. Okay. Hopefully that answers the question from Aldane.
Okay. Question from Jerry M. online. Does VMIL have an ESOP policy?
No, we do not. That's the blunt answer. We explored it a few years ago, but at this point in time, we haven't yet adopted an ESOP policy. And would VMI consider an assurance in the plan on ESOP? So, guided by the group HR in terms of talent retention, there are many incentive schemes that are deployed across the group. We wouldn't say that ours is as robust as it can be, but these are things that we'll look at from time to time to ensure that talent is retained. We could, down the road, subject to some other factors, group-wide, review an ESOP policy.
Okay. All right. We were doing very well for time, but we're running a bit long on time now. So I'm going to take one more question, if there are any more questions. Do we have anybody else in the room who has a question? Looks like we're okay. All right. We're going to close the Q&A session, and we're going to move to some administrative matters, which is the approval of several resolutions that we have tabled. As per usual, we need to move a motion for the approval of the auditor's report. So I'm going to ask if I could have a motion for the approval of the auditor's reports and the financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2024 and the director's report. Can I get a first mover? And you second? Your name? Okay. Thank you very much. All right, so the online voting instructions. Online voting is open for 1 minute. Am I going to be? Show you the results. Okay. A minute seems to be a bit long. Any support from those who are managing online voting or any guidance? Sorry, bear with us, folks. We're just trying to ascertain if we can get the online voting closed. Okay, so we have 100% voted yes online, and for our physical attendees here, all in favor? Any against? Okay, the motion carries. Resolution number 2, declaration of the dividend and approval of the dividends for 2020-24. Which have been previously paid, but we are asking for approval and ratification. That the interim dividend of 0.032 per stock unit paid on July 9th, 2024 be and is hereby ratified and declared for the financial year end December 31st, 2024, and that the interim dividend of 0.053 per stock unit paid on December 5th, 2024, be and is hereby ratified and declared as the final dividend for the financial year ended December 31st, 2024. May I have a motion for the dividend declaration resolution as proposed? Arthur, I'm going to the gentleman in the back there. Okay, you're going to move, and Arthur, you're going to second. Thank you. All right. Online voting will commence shortly. It was much more fun when we did all these things in person, eh? And we didn't have the online. It was back good old days, right? When you vote, everybody put up their hand, yeah, nay. Right. Okay. Once again, we have online, all in favor, none against. For our physical attendees, all in favor of the dividend declaration. Any against? Okay, the motion carries. All right, the next resolution, the one that always gets me a little bit nervous and stressed, is the resolution for election of directors. The following directors retire pursuant to Article 108 of the Articles of Incorporation, who being eligible offer themselves for re-election. That would be Mr. Michael McMorris, Chairman, who is online, Mr. Matthew Wright, who is here at the podium, and Mr. Resworth Burchinson, our CEO here. I would like to propose a resolution for the re-election of the directors en bloc and ask a shareholder to approve the motion.
Yes, you might not really want to conduct the election.
What would we do without you, Arthur? You know, I was thinking while I was reading it, but I was going to see what I could get away with.
Okay, so just as Mr. Wright says, the next resolution is for consideration of the election of directors, and the following directors will retire pursuant to Article 108 of the Articles of Incorporation, who being eligible offer themselves for re-election: Mr. Michael McMorris, Mr. Matthew Wright, and Mr. Resworth Burchinson. So I therefore propose a resolution for the re-election of the directors en bloc and ask a shareholder to approve the motion. Who's moving? What's your name again, sir? Mark Anthony Barton, and seconded by? Okay, thank you very much. So it has been seconded, and then so the online voting instructions will now then appear on the screens for voting, and we, as usual, we're going to allow 1 minute for voting to be completed, and then we will invite those in-house to vote as well. Right, okay, right. Now, I remember we're doing this in two parts. One is to approve the en bloc, and then after that we'll vote for the actual re-election. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, so we have the online voters voting 96% to for the re-election of the directors en bloc. Those in person, do you support? All right, good. All right, so we then ask you, I then propose a second resolution for the re-election of the following directors: Mr. Michael McMorris, Mr. Matthew Wright, and Mr. Wordsworth Burchinson. May I have a shareholder proposing? Arthur Ellison, and seconded by? Yvonne Williams. And so we will now allow the online voters to indicate their support. Okay, so we now have 100%. No, sorry, that's not resolution. I think you're showing the results for the first one. Okay, so we now have the resolution being approved by the online voters, 95%, and 5% said no. May I invite the those in person to indicate whether you support. Are you for? Those for? For. Good. Those against? Any against? All right, the vote carries. So congratulations to Messrs. McMorris, Wright, and Burchinson. You have been re-elected. I know you went through a few nervous moments there.
Stressed out. I keep my work. Bills to pay, you know. Okay. We are now going to go to Resolution 3B. These are new directors who have been appointed since the last AGM. So Mrs. Maria Evelyn Robinson and Mr. Frederick Williams were appointed as additions to the board since the date of the last AGM. Appointments were effective February 12, 2025 and March 2024 respectively. They will retire pursuant to Article 106 as at the date of this meeting and shall be eligible for re-election. The resolution is as follows: that Director Mrs. Maria Evelyn Robinson, retiring person pursuant to Article 106 of the Articles of Incorporation, who being eligible for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected. I therefore propose a resolution for the re-election of Maria Evelyn Robinson. Could I have a motion? Gentleman here. Can I ask for you to second the name? Kerry? Mr. Okay, thank you. So we're going to go to online voting now. Going to give it another minute. Resolution for Director Maria Evelyn Robinson to be re-elected.
You don't mind my saying, perhaps you're not re-electing them. They were called to the board or chosen before. This is the first time of their election.
Arthur, thank you again. I'm going to leave the response to that to the legal.
They were elected by the directors and already proposed to the chair.
As long as the 106 allows them to be elected by the director.
Yes, it does.
As long as it does. Many times other directors are called to the board or other statements like that.
Okay, we have the online results in. We have 93% in favor of the resolution to re-elect Maria Evelyn Robinson, 7% against. For the members in the room or the shareholders in the room, can I have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay, the motion carries. Director Frederick Williams, retiring pursuant to Article 106 of the Articles of Incorporation, is eligible for re-election. Resolution for him to be re-elected. I'd like to propose a resolution for the re-election of Mr. Frederick Williams. May I ask a shareholder to approve the motion? Beverly, thank you. Okay. Okay, now, in the annual, do we have a picture of Maria?
No.
No. Okay.
But Frederick is here in person.
Frederick is here, but Maria is not. Come on, Frederick, come on up. Yeah, they can only see your back. Yeah. Taller than I am, broader shoulders, you know, much more imposing figure, and of superior intellect. You can't go wrong with this one, folks. Sorry? Should not. Okay. All right. So, for the resolution was moved and seconded, and so we're now going to go for a vote. Online voting will commence now. Okay, online results are in. And for the re-election of Mr. Frederick Williams, we have 93% in favor. Online voting results, 93% in favor. Can we have, for the physical attendees, all in favor of the re-election of Mr. Williams? Any against? Okay, the motion carries. Only two more to go. So, this one, I am wondering, based on some prior comments from shareholders, whether I should not also recuse myself from involvement in this resolutions, as we are now involved in compensation matters. So, Courtney, do you want to come and take this? Right, yeah. Just for the avoidance of doubt.
Since I don't earn directors.
Exactly.
Okay. So we have the resolution now regarding the approval of directors' remuneration. The amount of 25.251 million included in the audited accounts of the company for the year ended the 31st of December 2024 as remuneration for their services as directors be and is hereby approved. May I ask a shareholder to move this resolution? Mr. Ellison and Ms. Yvonne Williams. So the online voting will now take place. Okay, well, the results are in. We have 92% saying yes and 8% being against. So may I have then the response of those in person? Do you vote for? Those for? All right, those against? Okay, the director's remuneration is approved. So I guess we don't have to refund, right?
You'd have a hard time clawing back. Alrighty. Final resolution for the evening. So it might be the highlight of the proceedings. We're going to move for the resolution for appointment of the auditors. KPMG, as auditors, have signified their willingness to continuing office as auditors, are hereby reappointed auditors of the company to hold office until the next annual general meeting at a remuneration to be agreed with the directors. May I have a motion for the approval of the appointment of KPMG as auditors at a remuneration to be agreed with the directors? Sorry? Oh, thank you. And seconded? Okay, thank you. Final online vote will begin now. Okay, results, online results for the appointment of auditors. 96% in favor of the resolution, 4% against. For our physical attendees, all in favor? All against? Okay, no nays. The resolution carries. Damien, you've been greenlit. Thank you. I saw you squirming a bit also, eh? All right. That brings us to the end of our scheduled agenda. At this point, there would be AOB. So I would invite anyone to bring to our attention any other matters which may be of concern, which they'd like to use this opportunity to raise in the meeting. Okay, I'm seeing no hands indicating an AOB item and nothing online. Okay, so with there being no AOB, that brings us to the end of the AGM. We have addressed all items on the agenda, and I would like to therefore move for termination of this annual general meeting of VM Investments Limited. I need to get a motion. I need to get moves, and Mr. Campbell seconds. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time this evening. I hope it was productive, informative, and confidence building. Enjoyed the interaction with all of our shareholders and members, and we look forward to the year ahead. Thank you.
With VMWealth's unit trust portfolios, your money works harder, responding to the markets and producing gains that have consistently beaten projections for over a decade. With our portfolios, your money works smarter, adjusting and pivoting based on research and